Hi everyone, it's Jerry. I have a nice attacking game to share with you from 1957. On the white end, Rashid Nezhmetdinov, and he's playing against Yuri Kotkov. Okay, I think this game does an excellent job of highlighting an attacker's mentality. On board, Ruy Lopez, Berlin defense. We exchange e-pawns with this line and keep queens on. Black is not threatening the bishop. Why? White has a stronger threat to take the knight, land a discovered check, and next win the queen. So black addresses that. Now this is a threat. And this is where white now reacts. He goes back to d3. Now this attacker's mentality I'm drawing attention to, it is almost as if with every move the position is scanned first for forward moves. Is there a way I could generate a threat? Grab the initiative in some way? What's that? I can't? All right, fine then. I'll back off. I'll give an inch, or in this case, 2. Now, the suggestion here, one of the top moves is to come all the way back home. Bishop d3 is also a fine move, but before you play in this way, you really do have to factor in your dark square bishop. What's a positive about this post? It observes h7. It's a sensitive square, especially with the king-knight not around on its favorite square securing it. The negative here is this guy. The center pawn is obstructed, not easily. You can't easily move it, and so you're not going to be able to get the bishop out on its natural diagonal. So before this guy goes here, you have to have in the back of your mind, I'm going to deploy my dark square bishop on this shorter diagonal. Okay. Let's get a couple more developing moves in. Exchanging knights. A question now to the rook. Where to go? Can you go forward? Do you even have to react? Is there something stronger I can do? Okay, there isn't a great forward move. This tactical shot is not working. There isn't a great follow-up to that. You could scan the position here for lateral moves. This may seem tempting, targeting h7, but there would be this counterpunch g6, and white is all of a sudden the one reacting to the threat. This guy's going to have to move. So white backs off in this position, similar to how the bishop backed off when it was on b5. Yep, this guy here just goes back 2 ranks. Now, you could also go all the way back here. In fact, let me throw this position to you as a pop quiz. What move might you play here as black to improve your position? Feel free to pause the video. Okay, those of you that said b6, that's a fine way to continue. Preparing to simply fianchetto. Try doing that with the rook on e3, and you lose. Because this shot is now there, because white is able to form a battery on the H file. White's winning. So, rook e3 carries with it a threat. It's addressed with g6. Queen f3, bishop g7. Got to get the queenside pieces out. Expected move, b3. Knight gets out of the d-pawn's way. Where to go with the bishop? The most forward square, a3. Generating a threat. You may think, I'm going to go to b2, but this would allow d5. This guy is poisoned, the knight is pinned, there's already a threat here with d4, so it's bishop a3. d6 blocks the bishop, opens up the bishop as well. White now doubles, all white pieces are developed. Knight goes back to f6. h3. Okay, some defensive move here cuts out any bishop or knight move. More long term, we got the flight square. This is where black now starts to go wrong. In the game, it's knight d7. The suggestion here is to play rook b8, secure b7 so that this guy can get on the main diagonal. In this game, though, it's knight d7. Now, when I see a move like knight d7 in this position, there's a certain move or two that spring to mind straight away for me. And that is a knight move. This position right here, they're both competing for the same center squares. So when one knight decides to move, the other should look to hop into one of these two squares. So that's exactly what white does. And he goes with the most forward move, knight d5. The reply here, f5. Now, something that needs to be covered here is what's happening if the knight drops into e5. Well, these guys aren't here just for show. They're going to blast through. They would blast through, capturing on e5. And if you recapture with the pawn, here's a sequence where we're white's going to win a pawn, what I'm about to show you. White's going to win a pawn, and it's going to be an opposite color bishop position. This is all forced. Well, this is at least one forceful line where, yeah, there we go. We're up a pawn, opposite color bishop position. White, of course, for choice. Another line here is a double exchange sacrifice. If you're recapturing with the bishop, check this out. Watch the dark squares get pounced on. The knight, the queen, the knight, the queen on e7, f6. Check this one out. Bishop, e7. That stings. She's toast. You go here or here, it doesn't matter. The knight lands on f6, and the black queen is a goner. Okay. So we know what we could be doing if knight e5. In this game, it's f5, and this is where white now sees an opportunity to move forward, to sacrifice some material to get the queen in an excellent post, or on an excellent square. Knight takes c7, queen takes knight, queen d5, check. So it's a knight for pawn imbalance, but how valuable is this guy? It's like a half-dead pawn. With this sequence, white is not interested in pawn hunting. This may be tempting to take on d6, landing a fork. If you play in this way, black has an excellent move, knight b6, and now it's considered best to play queen c5, exchange queens, not what white wants. Anything else, and black would be winning if white isn't playing queen c5 here. Okay, what is white's idea? To take advantage of the disconnect between the rooks. Black still needs 2 tempi before this guy is a contributor. So he goes straight in to the back rank. Knight f6. There's a fork here. Rook takes rook, check. Bishop takes rook. And let me throw this position to you as a pop quiz. The knight observes the queen. How would you reply here? Feel free to pause the video. Okay, the queen doesn't have to move. The bishop gets on the main diagonal. The knight is pinned. Bishop g7. Another pop quiz. How would you react in this position? Feel free to pause the video. Okay, white develops his last piece. I don't consider this guy developed from d3. Whether he's on d3 or f1, kind of staring at a rock here on f5 or your own pawn, it needs to be rerouted. He goes to c4. It's the best move, the only move that wins. Bishop c4 in this very position. The queen is poison. This is not a threat. If the queen is captured, game over. The bishop is pinned. So, white, again, this attacker's mentality, this wasn't a threat. Don't react to this move here. Improve one of your own pieces, the piece that wasn't doing really anything. All white pieces are now functioning. We continue. bishop d7, bishop takes knight, bishop takes bishop, queen f7. She doesn't really get much more invasive than this. Black king in the corner, the queen, a knight's move away. In the game, queen d8 is played. The suggestion here is bishop g5 with the continuation to disrupt the bishop. If some other move like bishop g7 is played, there would follow rook e7, and it's checkmate next. 2 pigs on the 7th rank. If the bishop moves, it's checkmate in 1. And if you defend the bishop, that's also mate, because we have this guy on c4. So in this game, queen d8 is played, covering the bishop, covering the back rank, but there's a wonderful final move. Can you spot it? Feel free to pause the video. Okay, here we go. Rook e8, check, and black resigns. No matter what black does here, it's checkmate, next move. If you capture with the bishop, these two, the queen and the rook cannot see these two squares. Queen f8 or g8 would be mate. And if you take with the queen, there would follow queen takes bishop, and look at these two beautiful diagonals. Game over. Anyhow, feel free, as usual, to leave any feedback to this video in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed it, and maybe took a thing or two away. That's all for now. Take care.